Ta-da! Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. The reminder, as with every single start of every one of these calls, that you get to choose what things mean. Why is it magnificent morning for me? Because I choose it to be so. Remember, everything just is. Write that in your notes again. Everything just is. Everything is fundamentally meaningless. It's you, it's me, it's we that give meaning to everything that just is. Remember, nothing is good or bad, big or small. It's our thinking that makes it so. And the sooner you start to think that way, from the inside out instead of the outside in, oh my gosh, everything changes and it changes in exact proportion to those changes that you've made inside. Now, that's an important little tidbit there to get. Your changes on the outside will manifest, or I should say externalized, in exact proportion to the changes you've made inside. We touched on this yesterday in this wonderful book from beautiful Charles Haanel, from something that Lillian Whiting said. And we're going to read it again because it's so freaking great. With that being said, if you'll just hold on to the idea, be loyal to that unseen reality, it will start taking shape. But see, this is where you must be loyal to it. You've got to become one with the ideal, whatever that is. Okay, think of your gold card, wave them. Okay, here. These are important, right? Yes. You want this to be a material fact in your outer world? You gotta fall in love with it. You've got to make this important and then crowd out anything else that's not in harmony with whatever this is. And by the way, that will automatically happen. I know that I say that you got to crowd out other things, but it'll automatically happen the moment you lock into this. Why? Because that's how it works. When it comes to the stage of your mind, really only one idea can be there at a time. With that being said, whatever the idea is that you hold, of which is an image, it will attract like ideas. Write this in your notes again. Like attracts like in the mind. See, you become what you think about most of the time. Write that in your notes again, too. I become what I think about most of the time. Yes, you do. You do. Remember, you have this conscious part of your mind, subconscious part of your mind. Here's the senses, which connects us to the physical. With that being said, whatever's held here in that conscious part of your mind automatically gets impressed here. You want this to be a material fact. It's not going to happen if you keep it here and just look at it as something like, oh, that's interesting. That's nice. That'd be nice if. No, you got to hold it and make it important. And then it'll go here. And once it goes here, your vibratory state will shift. Now, that's a huge deal because this reveals that the pictures you see, they just are. See, it's the emotional involvement with them that delivers the outcomes. It's the feeling. That's where it's at. Just like what Neville Goddard shares, feeling is the secret. Feelings. Your feelings are feedback. Feelings are the secret. Your feelings are feedback. And those feelings, it's a vibratory state you're in, determine what comes to you, what you go to. And that's what we dive into here. We dive into how to shift that automatic narrative in you, which is how you're feeling, what you believe, the habits you have, so that you can change your outcomes. And by the way, hasn't it been amazing as you've been using this? Nod your heads. It's been pretty freaking great, hasn't it? All right, so let's dive into this, shall we? Let's go into where we are in Charles Haanel's masterpiece. One, two, three, boom. I said we're going to go over this again. Hopefully you put a box around this. Put hearts all over the place around it. When any object or purpose is clearly held in thought. Now, again, object, purpose, something subjectively inside will go to the outside, provided you're holding it. And now notice he's pointing out the image and he's pointing out the will. Using your will to hold the image. So here, when any object or purpose is clearly held in thought, remember that's an action. Those are the types of actions we're talking about too, by the way, when we're talking about take action. Its precipitation in tangible and visible form is merely a question of time. See, this is where you get to tap into seed, plant, blossom, fruit. Don't concern yourself with the reaping. Concern yourself with what's being sown, what you're cultivating. The reaping will automatically happen. Write that in your notes. The reaping automatically happens solely based from what's been sown. Plant an avocado seed, what you gonna get? Beautiful avocados. Plant a mango seed, what you gonna get? You're gonna get mangoes. You're not gonna get apples. Plant an apple seed, you'll get apples. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to the garden of your mind. The garden of your mind is here. It's subconscious part of you. It's fertile soil that will grow just as abundantly negative ideas as it will positive ideas. The negative outcomes, the positive outcomes will happen based from what's planted here. This is why I love this, because you can say, oh, I get a clear picture. This book right here is magnificent to get to know that. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It ties so beautifully into helping you to see what we're talking about here. But again, think about that. When you hold it, it's planted. It automatically gets planted. Your job is to be loyal to it continually and to sow. And then eventually it will put your body into a specific vibratory state, which will then lead you into action, the physical action. If you're not doing the things that you need to do to accomplish your ideal, it's not because you're freaking lazy. Isn't that interesting that that's what the personal development world tells you? You're lazy. You don't want it bad enough. Bullshit. It's not true. It's just that you have a habit of making other things more important. Think about that. You're not lazy. You're just you're just not. There's plenty of times people who say that, oh, I'm lazy. Bullshit. You'll find that there's many times in that person's life where they are not lazy, where they get things done. Why? Because that's what they're acting on based on what they've made important, which reveals that it's not you that's stopping you. It's what's embedded in you that's stopping you. Remember, you're not in the way. You are not your own worst enemy. You are not the problem and solution. Boy, I used to be fed that a lot. Oh, that was said a lot. It's not true. And you're not self-sabotaging. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. Anybody who talks about self-sabotage that says something like that, they don't understand who they are. So again, when any object or purpose is clearly held in thought, its precipitation in tangible and visible form is merely a question of time. Plant the seed in your heart. Nourish it. Don't dig it out with worry and doubt. Continue to cultivate. And then from there, the sowing will happen. Remember, seed, plant, blossom, fruit. We want the fruit. Just keep nourishing. It'll be time to pull the fruit when it's time to pull the fruit. Don't concern yourself with reaping. I've said that before. I said it again. I'm going to say it again. Don't concern yourself with the reaping. Your only job is to sow. Write that in the notes. My only job is to sow. The vision always precedes and itself determines the realization. Now that right there, big underline. The vision always precedes and itself determines the outcome. The vision you have. This is why that beautiful statement in the Bible is so important. Without vision, people perish. That's a statement of psychological truth. If you don't have a vision for yourself, I got news for you, you're going to perish. You're going to go into what's called ambivalence, complacency. Things aren't going to change, which means they're going to disintegrate. That goes against your nature. Now, what's in your nature? To create. See, you are a magnificent creative being, which is something that's so important for you to get. Because once you get that and you start thinking that way, which is the way you're supposed to be thinking, then what'll start happening is the change will happen and it'll change fast. That's beautifully shared in this book. Oh my gosh, this is magnificent. Such a great masterpiece. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. Breaks it down beautifully to help you to understand who you truly are. That you can create whatever image you want. Think about that. You have an imagination, you have it for a reason. It's not there for no reason.